Welcome to JDM Imported.
What up? Welcome back to another episode of the JDM Imported podcast. I'm your host, Dante Prinzo, owner-operator, Elusive Auto Company. And this is the journey following the maturation of my company from inception to brick and mortar. And yes, for all those of you who followed, it looks like we're on pace to hit my deadline. So it looks like I'm going to be avoiding any I told you so's and any negativity there of people wanting to say, can't be done, told you. But anyways, let's turn off my notifications and let's get into it. So listen, this is as always, I'm going to kind of give you an overview of the episode here, a little company recap. And first off, this is ridiculous. It's been over a month since I've reported an episode, and shame on me, because anytime anyone's DM'd, messaged me, trying to get into a car-related business, whatever, for some reason people reach out for my advice. I always appreciate it. I'm always going to say I'm not an expert, but I will share what I've been through. Hopefully it helps you moving forward. That being said, one of my things is get out of your own way. Just start. You don't have to have the right equipment, the right tools. You don't have to make sure your following's big before you actually launch something. Just start. Just take that step. And people get in their own way, and they'll spend months, a year kind of ramping up without a release, and things fizzle before you even get them lit. You know what I mean? And that's always been my thing. Just start. Just start. Who cares? You don't have a microphone? Record yourself on your cell phone. Well, guess what? That's what I'm doing today. My microphone is busted. I was shopping for some. That delayed recording a podcast. Just excuses, I was sick a week. Had an issue with really just being super busy. But again, I used to record these if I didn't have time. Family was around, couldn't get any quiet. I'd go in my car. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what happened to that? So what? I got jaded here because I, got a nicer microphone. I have a little more alone time during the daytime in between work. And I'm like, so I expect everything to be perfect like that. And before I know it, I looked at my calendar. I was like, damn, it's been over a month since I put something out. I really miss it. Hopefully you've missed hearing some stuff from me, but just excuses, just straight up made excuses. And then last week I was going to record, microphone wasn't working. Then I turned in because I get crazy with all this stuff and research and diving down that rabbit hole of researching microphones. Stupid. You know what I'm recording on today? My iPhone. Just because I ordered a new microphone for some reason. I don't even look at shipping anymore. I don't know about you, but I just assume everything's going to be on my doorstep in 2 days, and it's been 10. So whatever. I'm just recording it because I felt like chatting today. I don't want to make excuses because, what happens when you're waiting for the perfect time? You stand still. You grow roots because there's always going to be something that comes up. So great. I wait until next week for the microphone to come in, and maybe I get busy. Nights are busy and I can't record. So I have a window right now of an hour. I'm going to talk because I have some stuff to share. Hopefully you enjoy it. As always, I appreciate the feedback. I answer all emails. I've been, and again, I'm letting you guys drive the show. So I've been getting a lot of emails, just kind of an influx of people just interested in getting in parts distributing, which really isn't something I do, nor want to do. Maybe down in the future when everything else is super smooth and I just want to add another little caveat to the business. Great. But, not really interested in it now, but whatever. I've been around it, kind of the importing game. I have a decent grasp on, so I want to address that. So first off, we're going to do a business update here on what's going on with Elusive Auto Co. and my new extension of the company, the detailing business, which I'm going to release the name here because for those of you that have been around, the last episode, I believe it was the last episode. Again, it's been too long. I'm an idiot. got to keep on schedule here. The last episode, I asked for kind of a vote for people to DM and to reach out to me on what they think the name should be, of the detailing extension, because I wanted it to be, similar branding, but different name, just because it's kind of a different service, even though it's all under the same roof and will be, with the brick and mortar, as well as maintenance. I mean, like your standard dealership, right? I mean, you sell cars, you maintain them, and but I want to have more of a fine detailing, not like a dealership quality, but people with coatings and paint correction, stuff that I've spent like a lot of time and just practice and doing stuff, and the more fine detailing. So anyways, we're going to release the name. We'll talk about how that's going. Then I want to get into, parts importing. I just want to give you maybe a couple ideas if you've been thinking about it to just try it before you, again, outthink yourself, worry about a business plan, scaling, making things big. How are you going to get, a container in? Just how to start so you can get a taste of it, see if it even makes sense for you. So we'll talk about that with the parts. I want to give a quick update on some importing changes. Slight one that may affect some people, may not, but another workaround thing that I'm working through. So and talk about, I've mentioned them before, but some of the cars I think this time of year are good buys that are after everything's said and done going to be under 15K, kind of in that low teen range. Some all-wheel drive cars, some that are just hitting their production time for us to be able to import them. So a little winter special on some all-wheel drive JDM goodies. So let's kick it off here. So first off, updated the business. So everything's, in previous episodes, since I'm in the process of getting my dealer license, North Carolina has a 5-car limit. I've reached that. They were clueless at the DMV. I don't need to recap that. Listen to the previous episode on that. But I got everything sorted with the Cedric. So the Cedric is available for sale in the wintertime, which sucks because it's just slow. I mean, it just, for these types of cars, it's just going to be slow this time of year. And I get that. But so the Cedric's good. It's I have the title. It's clean. It's ready. Again, it's under 10,000 miles. It's a straight up time capsule. So hook me up. I will send someone cash, PayPal gift, whatever for referring somebody that buys the car, because I'm really looking to clean things out because we're going to be moving. We're moving to Pittsburgh. As soon as we'll probably start the ball rolling on that at the end of the winter. It's going to come quick, and I'm going to be looking for shop space there, so I don't want to move cars. I just want to move our personal cars up there, and I'm going to start getting cars delivered to Baltimore, in which that's going to be my new port, which I'll have to get credentials for and all of that, and for getting inventory up in Pittsburgh. So, and the good news is too, it's not going to be like 1 or 2 cars at a time like it has been with me. It's I'll probably get say a small bunch, depending. And I'm trying to even validate a trip to Japan when the shop's ready to open. I need to get some inventory in. So, and I'll take you along for the ride. I think that'd be pretty cool because I'll be able to get. I already talked to someone that will give me passes, like actual passes, so I can be in where the dealers are. Something they don't like to do with general public. So could be a fun ride with that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, but. I need to sell the Cedric. My M5 is for sale, the E60 M5, and then the FC, RX-7 FC. I've finally finished all my other projects, and that's maybe like 2 hours of just kind of touch up and work away from being ready for paint. Really, I'm just waiting for good time because I like it to cure properly, and it's just it's cold here in North Carolina. We just had a snowstorm, so when the weather gets we might have a week of kind of nice weather. I'll get that painted, but I'm in no rush. But because I think that'll sell a little faster once the winter breaks, actually really fast. So I'm going to sell it for a decent deal. So that's what's going on with the cars now. Well, you know what? I'm going to bundle in kind of updates with the importing process too, rather later in the show. I think it pertains to the business. So when you import a car. I have an episode on that. I'm not going to go into details because it's going to bore people if you've already listened to it. If not, listen to that past episode. But, where you can hear the whole process. But anyways, there's like two major shipping companies that come into the port of Savannah, which really, East Coast, they're kind of the main ones that you're going to see at most ports that have, the best schedules or at least the most frequent schedules. So one's Hogue and one's Wilhelmsen, WWL, whatever. It's a long name. So WWL is the one I've used predominantly. I've only used Hogue once, just because of schedule, not anything other than that. I mean, the process is the process. I think they've been really easy to deal with, and I'm always one for kind of personal contact. So, I call people directly so I can have kind of a point of connection, because when you do bring a car in, if you are clearing it yourself, after you go to customs to give them the paperwork, you need to then call the logistics company, the shipping company, and you need to tell them, hey, I just submitted through a CBP, and I need it cleared, essentially, so you can go pick it up at Ocean Terminal or whatever terminal it is at the port you're at. So they'll put in delivery order. Yeah. So anyways, and so you need to get a hold of someone, because like I've had times when you call, they're out at lunch, you have to wait. So, I mean, you're just sitting there waiting. And then if you're cutting it close to when the port closed, then you get really nervous. So I had a good point of contact there, and I called him up. I'm like, hey man, to back up real quick. So WWL just changed their policy, and their policy is that you need to import through a broker. Individuals cannot clear their own cars, essentially, which means WWL just wants to deal with customs brokers. So, and custom brokers are people that, have taken coursework or not. I mean, you just have to essentially study, but it's a hard test to pass. So it's like an 80 question test, costs a good bit of money. Then you have to buy some coursework and do some studying yourself. There's a couple thousand pages worth of stuff to go through. It is open book, but it has a super low pass rate. I think the average last I checked was like between 10, or no, it was single digits. It was like, 5 and 20% pass the first time around, which is lower than the bar, which is lower than medical boards. So, which is lower than actually it's one of the lowest first time passing rates of any government issued test. Now I think the number's skewed because a lot of people testing it could have been out of school for a long time. You don't need a degree to take the test, so you're just kind of out of practice. You take your medical boards or you take your bar. I mean, you just finished like a ton of schooling. You're kind of in that study mode, right? And the whole time it's preparing you for that one test. So, but anyways, I digress. That's so WWL is making you go through an agent now, and this is something that so my exporter in Japan called me. He's like, "Listen, I need the name because I'm bringing a car in for somebody as part of my consulting service, and bringing a car in for them." We had everything in order, and all of a sudden they kind of dropped this bomb. They're like, "Oh, you can't clear it yourself. You need to go through an agent." So I call my contact in Savannah, who I've talked to plenty of times. Even at this point, he actually recognizes my voice, which is I don't know if that's good or bad. I just always call him, like, if I read something or whatever, and there's just any kind of changes or anything in the pipeline, I always call him. But anyways, I'm like, "Hey, what's up with this change?" He's like. And this goes to show kind of the lack of communication from the top down. I'm like, yeah, so I need to go through a broker now. He's like, "Oh man, you know what? I heard that was in the pipeline. Is that official now?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm kind of stuck here now. I have to go through a broker. Is there any workaround there?" He's like, No, it's just we heard they were going to do this, but thanks for giving me a heads up." Quote, "Thanks for giving me a heads up." This is somebody that has worked. I know he's been at that office for at least 10 years. Good guy, knows his stuff, but not his fault, just probably lack of communication from the top down. So the shipping company, the international headquarters, is releasing this update, and to a major, like Savannah's a major port, and he's one of the main people there. Haven't heard about it yet, that it was official. So I thought I'd share. These are just kind of the fun snafus that you go through. And listen, I like to share it because, like, if you're thinking about it, it might seem like a fun game, or if you're like, this is nonsense, I don't want to deal with this shit, then good, maybe you shouldn't be in the business, because this is pretty much what it is. There's just a lot of this, a lot of rule changes, and little communication to go with it. So yeah, that's what's going on with that, and how I'm tying this into kind of the business update is I was always planning on, once I have a brick and mortar to invest in becoming a registered importer, because there's a lot of benefits there and just less people that you have to go through. I can offer some more services to people, all that good stuff. But I think I'm going to, well, actually, I already signed up for the waiting list. I think the next test is in April. They only have tests 2 times a year to become a customs broker. Now, this might seem like overkill for somebody that's, it's not like I'm importing hundreds of cars a year. I'm not importing parts, and so what? So you can pay someone to fill out the paperwork, and you don't even have to worry about it. They submit to CBP, and you can go pick up the car. You don't even have to stop at customs. So that all sounds well and good, but I've worked with enough different people doing this that the more you can eliminate, the better. I think this translates to a lot of different things, but especially with importing, government, international agencies, the lack of communication, different rules, different guidelines from port to port, even though they're all sanctioned from the same spot. The more people you can eliminate, the better. The more you can control. And it's not even a money thing. Getting to that, though, even though, when you're all said and done, I forget, it's like $300 here, $50 fee, this, that, the studying. I mean, you're probably like around $600 to $800, depending on your studies program to get this license. And I think there's a little more too. I mean, I just started kind of skimming the surface of it, but that's a decent chunk of change. But when I add it up, since I did all the paperwork and I've always submitted this stuff myself for free, now to pay someone $130 plus to fill out essentially 3 major forms, which are simple once you've done them. As long as you've done them, no matter how much customs tries to scare you of fines, delays, holds, they're really basic to fill out. And when you get there, if you have something wrong, they're not going to send you away. They're just like, listen, change this. So that's why I always brought copies of stuff when I was first doing it, just in case I had to scratch something out or whatever. But nothing needs notarized. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I get that they charge what they charge because, they offer a service. I'm not going to knock anyone for a service. Services shouldn't be free if you offer value to someone. And for a lot of people, the peace of mind's well worth it. For me, since I know how to do it, like $130, $150 a car for someone to fill out 3 pieces of paper that I am very capable of doing, no thanks. I mean, after, a month, the license will have paid for itself, and I can offer other services. I can be a little more flexible with my consulting service, right? Where I can import stuff through the company for someone specially, or I can import it and have it to them directly so they don't have to wait the 1 month. And I'm thinking that might be kind of a cool hook, because it's always been the thing, no matter what dealership you go through, unless they have someone like that on staff, that they bring a car in for you. Like say you want to be part of the process. You want to pick it, and you have a very special, an Evo II, whatever, something that you're looking for, and they bring the car in for you especially. So, you pay for it, they bring it in, but you have to wait that month. So, the sourcing time, the 1 month travel time, the, 1 to 10 days of clearance time, and then the, like in North Carolina, it's 4 to 6 weeks that you're waiting for that title once it comes in. So even if you're a dealer, there's no fast titles with international cars. And that's another thing. People are like, well, I can go to the DMV and I can get same-day titles. You just pay, not with international. It's 4 to 6 weeks. I've had some take 7 or 8, and you just have to wait. So if I were to be a customs broker, I can offer the consulting service, which, it's soup to nuts. I do everything for you. You get total access. all the behind the scenes pictures, not just the chintzy auction photos, startups, all that stuff, live bidding, not just max bidding. And when the car comes in, everything can be in your name in the process, which I think makes people feel more comfortable, even though, I mean, listen, I know there's been, Black Ops had that big thing where they, took people's money. That's just shady business practice, and, you're going to go out of business with that. So, I'm not going to screw someone for one car to put me out of business. But for peace of mind, I think for some people, having their name attached to the car from beginning to end makes them feel nice, sending money overseas and knowing everything's coming back in their name. Okay, so this is a way I can do that, which kind of, you have to change, you have to adapt based on the climate with business. And all of a sudden there was a couple jokesters out there that messed with people that got sued, and the people got their money back, but it's a big pain in the ass. But because of those jokesters, that's a little more high alert now, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I think, for the consumer. Not necessarily a bad thing for the business. It's just maybe a different avenue, a different option we need to offer, and that's what I think I'm going to do. I think that'll be a good option. People can get their cars faster. They can pick things particularly. It'll make everything streamlined from me for getting inventory. I won't have to stop at Border Patrol to get there, so I don't have to worry about hours. I don't have to worry about the time. I can just pick stuff up from the port because have access to CBP's database, their system. Everything's electronically submitted. No paperwork to carry with me and sweat about. So yeah. I mean, so it's funny, and this might be boring, but this is what's going on right now. So again, I don't want to wait too long for something like super exciting to happen, and then all of a sudden it's like, what happened to the podcast? So so a small change that a shipping company made got me thinking, well, if one other shipping company makes that change, then I'm going to have to do something about it. So I need to stay ahead of the game, because if Hogue does that, those are really the only two I'm ever going to use that I have access to. So I'd have to do this anyway. So let me get ahead of it. Let me see how I can parlay it into a positive for the business, which I think it would be. And just by default, if anyone wanted to import anything, I'd be able to do that, not even cars, without, and again, cutting out the fees, cutting out the time, and just cutting out the bullshit. Because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of these agencies are like just DMVs on a larger scale. And we all know like what most local DMVs are like, kind of dealing with things, or, working with people that maybe you're doing something they haven't had experience with, like if you're talking with somebody, I've had people go through it before, trying to a friend of mine, he's trying to register a car in PA that we brought in, and I think he had the wrong expectations of things, expecting people to know like what he's talking about. I mean, it's just a car, but people get hung up on it, and they're like, "What's this? I don't know if we can do anything about this. It's right-hand drive. I don't know if it's." They're just not aware of the rules, because why would they? It might be the first right-hand drive car that AAA has seen to do, to register, or their DMV, or wherever you're going. You know what I mean? So give them a little bit of a break. Not everyone's JDM heads. They don't know what the hell a Sylvia is. They might not be aware of the 25-year rule, because why would they if they've never seen one or had to register it? So, so there's some back and forth. You kind of have to educate some people on it, and that's my thing. I mean, the more that I can cut out, the better, and it's the same with these brokers. Some of them, they're either dealing with too many people, they haven't dealt with these instances enough, or like what I've had in the past, they use different terminology, and it makes you think it's a roadblock, and then you find out, oh, the bill of landing number is the master bill of landing number, but they just say master, and you're like, well, I don't have a master, I just have a bill of landing. They're like, well, you need to get me the master. I can't tell you, when I was first doing this, how many times I went back and forth, and I almost got fined because things were late getting the security bond, the ISF, filed, because I'm tracking down and calling people and like, what's the master? And they're like, I've never heard of a master. This is the bill of landing's the bill of landing. I'm like, well, they say they need the master. Dante, I'm telling you, this is it. We don't have any other numbers. Then I'm calling them, and I'm like, hey, they're telling me they don't have it. They're like, well, maybe they didn't submit it right. And then you're like, oh my God, what's going on? You start freaking out, and then you come to find out, oh, it's just a bill of landing. they just call it a master. It's these little things. These are those tiny, tiny little details, these little nuances in it and communication that can really drive people away from this and stress you out. So I'm just going to eliminate it. It's going to be a lot of extra work. They're saying it's like a 4-month study. I'm probably going to fail it a bunch of times because I haven't had to study for anything forever, for like 15 years, maybe longer. And, but I think it'll be good for the business. So that's what's going on with that. Anyways, last episode, I'm like, hey, hook me up, help me out, send out some love. Let me know what you think about the detailing aspect of the business and what I should call it. So I had some people throw out some things. I had some ideas, kind of took some census on it. And what I've decided on, and I thank you so much for anyone that's, I actually had a bunch of people kind of agree. And then, because I think I mentioned this name, and the name is Elusive Autoshine. So it's keeping all the same branding. I'm just essentially taking out company underneath it, and I put Autoshine and like some fancy font. Kind of looks JDM. It sounds JDM, which I like. It just sounds like a JDM type shop. And like I said, it keeps the branding consistent because I wanted something that says like it's detailing, but for a little bit of separation, but I didn't want to start a whole separate company. So, I just did another kind of DBA attached to the Elusive Auto Company, like also known as Elusive Autoshine. Keep it all simple. I'll probably have to LLC everything whenever I get up to Pittsburgh, but for now, that's what it is. So thank you. No, I was, sometimes you ask and you might hear like one or two voices out there, but I got a lot of voices, people that actually went out of their way to email me like, hey, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Good thing what you're doing. Got to diversify. Here's my idea for the name. And I had a bunch. I think like more than 15 names. And I think I mentioned in the episode I liked Elusive Autoshine. I had a lot of people kind of agree with that because I wasn't sure if it's like confusing. Because sometimes the word elusive, it's like, so what? It's a hard to find shine, but it's kind of, I look at it as like another definition of elusive is like hard to catch, which I'm like, oh, like I go after kind of that 10% that's not easy to find, that's not easy to catch for people. Because really in detailing, there's people that clean cars and there's people that rejuvenate cars. And I like to think of myself as more of a rejuvenator. Anyone can put shine on something. I mean, heck, they sell products like glaze. You use a glaze, you can fill in swirl marks superficially, synthetically, safely, but it's not the same artistry and it won't last as long. But yeah, I mean, any Joe Schmo can pick up a DA, get some Meguiar's glaze and, throw like a cheap wax on it and make it look shiny. But are you doing so with artistry? And what I mean by that, are you doing so using the least amount of abrasiveness to get the maximum amount of impact and longevity? Like a proper polishing, whether it be a one stage with a hybrid polish with no waxes in it, or, a 2-3 stage polish where you're using, a heavy cutting compound and working it up to a sealant wax, you're kind of 5 layers into it. Now, it takes a long time, it's expensive, but you're actually correcting the clear coat, you're actually leveling things, you're actually filling in those marring issues and providing some longevity, to the shine, to the details. So for that and for my focus and I think kind of skill sets, which are still growing, but, not to toot, I think things are going pretty well. I've had some decent outcomes and I've been pretty busy with it. And that's kind of what's paused the podcasting because I really thought I'd have like 1 or 2 jobs a week and I've been detailing pretty much every day. And then I come home at night, same old, kids to bed, catch up on some business stuff and some wife time and all that, working in the garage, working on flyers, working on the website, stickers. I mean, it's like whatever. But I don't know what I do, but I'm always busy. Maybe I need to focus more on one thing at a time. But anyway, so that's it. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction. I want this to be interactive. I respond to every email, every DM. I don't think I've missed one. If I do, call me out on it. Make me look like a punk, please. But I appreciate it. I just, I like to keep, I like to answer questions, help people out. I mean, I've had I've had more people reaching out to me about the consulting service that want to bring in their own car, so I can provide total access to that, total transparency, and really get to see every 19 steps of the process to be involved and be a part of to get, the exact car you want. So, and I think just through the community, I've had more outreach there, and I haven't really pushed it or advertised it just because of, the time and my focus right now. Because it takes a lot, when you're doing that. I mean, it's not just, hey, send me a link. It's, okay, let's look at a car. Okay, let me have it inspected. Let's go over the 30 pictures. Let's see if this is something. Okay, let's set a budget. What are we going to do? And these are drawing my nights out. So, because I'm talking to Japan, I'm talking to my contact there, and it's, so my nights go from like 12 to 2 in the morning, if things are going in the afternoon up there or over there. And it just really draws the day out, but I love it, and it keeps me in the game, and it keeps me, kind of a finger of the pulse of the market without having inventory, because I'm pretty much stalled out until we move. So that's what's going on there. So, and I wanted to touch on parts, all right. And I'm actually not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just again, I'll let you guys direct the show. And I've just noticed kind of a pattern of people, hey, I'm thinking of opening a parts business. Oh, hey, I've listened. Thanks for sharing your stuff. I want to bring in some parts. You have any advice? Blah, blah. I've been getting a lot of those. I respond to all of them, but just for anyone curious. So importing parts from Japan is way harder than importing cars. And what I mean by that is because not only is it it's more sourcing time, but then it's getting to the port. So you need to find somebody to source the parts for you. You also need to find somebody as a packer, which is port terminology for someone that essentially packs your shipping container, whether it be a small one or a large one. Really, and with the margins being so narrow on parts, efficiency is just paramount. Like with a car, you don't have to be so efficient. You'd really, really have to mess things up to lose money. It's kind of hard to make a good profit, but you'd really have to mess up to lose. Now with parts, you could easily lose money on parts. And essentially because, the process is the process, whether you're selling a car or an exhaust, right? So you still have to go through all the same importing processes. Obviously, stateside here is super easy because you don't have to deal with registering DMV and stuff like that. But all the front end stuff and the searching, about the same amount of time. Your profit margin, you're still gonna have to pay someone to clear it, all that stuff. So, and the margins are tight. It's like wheels. People look at wheels. You can get wheels for really cheap over there that everyone's gonna salivate here. But unless you're doing a lot of them, not really going to make much on them just because the shipping charges. The best way, the major way of making a profit bringing parts in is logistics. It's a logistics game, like straight up. So it doesn't matter sourcing. I got a contact. I can get the parts for 10% cheaper. The money's made on logistics. It just is. And if you don't have the right connections and you're not importing a ton of them, it's tough. Not to be discouraging. That's just the real point of it. Now, my solution here, before you worry about, okay, how do I fill up a crate? Maybe I have $5,000. I want to get a bunch of little parts, or, maybe I have a lot of money and I want to fill up a crate full of wheels, or maybe I just have like 500 and I want to get 50 shift knobs, whatever. Yeah, you wouldn't get 50 shift knobs, but you know what I mean. I think the best thing to do if you're thinking about it is don't worry about the connection, right? That takes a long time. You need to get started before you can start finding people, because it's just you'll spend all of your time like, hey, who's going to look at parts? Who's going to go to the local yards or the local shops there and get something for me and get it to port? Who do I trust? Now there's companies that do this, but they charge a big fee, so. And they charge a fee because they're not wholesale to wholesale. They're wholesale to retail, most of them. They're buying the parts for wholesale. They're marking it up, as they should, because they're providing a service to you. And then you're trying to then retail them again. So you're kind of retail to retail, which is a really narrow margin. It's a tough margin to live in. What you need to do is like the bigger importers will do, is you need to wholesale retail. Buy them wholesale, sell them retail. But that takes time. That takes time to go through it. A name drop here and there. Maybe you get a set of wheels in, another set from someone on Yahoo Auctions, and all of a sudden they recognize your name. You're like, hey, do you know anyone? Or hey, like, I'll go look at parts for you. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you need to get the ball rolling somehow. And really, speaking of Yahoo Auctions, easiest and the best way. Not to make money. Again, don't worry about it. If you're trying to do this as a business and you're trying to make money, you will think, research, try to figure out the connections, how to fill up a crate, blah, 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 blah. And time's just going to pass and you're not going to do anything. So just do something. Start small. Buy a shift knob, buy a steering wheel, one set of wheels, whatever. Stay away from body kits. Those are only to fill up containers because they're too expensive to ship. Then they get damaged. You'll lose money on body kits. Like, you just straight up will. But wheels, VIP stuff that you can't get over here, just stuff you can't get here. Steering wheels, I think, are the easiest, and the shipping's fairly cheap. But start there. You go on Yahoo Auctions. You have to give them money to bid. So you have to be comfortable with that. Giving money to open an account so you can bid on stuff, and it's just going to be there. You can always take it out, but it's going to be there. So you got to be cool with that. And then you can just, like eBay, you just start bidding on stuff, and get one thing in. Get it in, see what it costs you, see how long it takes, see who you can work with, track the names, document everything, see if it's too much of a pain in the ass to be anything that you would remotely think of doing again, or maybe you love it and you figured it out and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden you have an email address, a phone number, somebody, the person that sold it to you that maybe you can start working for. Hey, do you know anyone? That's your in, because no one's really going to help. Well, I don't want to say no one, but people are more likely to help someone they've done business with than just somebody asking for help. And especially internationally. And that's something I've found. I was, kind of naive of that at the beginning, thinking like, oh, they help. That's why I got hung up on a lot, because I haven't done business. I haven't offered anything, or like in the government side of thing, Border Patrol, like I haven't been through it before. I'm just basically like a gnat in their ear. It's like, bro, figure it out and come back when you know. We're not here to educate you, So I've been hung up on by local government, federal government. Who else has avoided me? Exporters early on. So just start, man. Just start. Just like I'm talking about with this podcast. I made excuses and a month went by. What did I get done? No podcasting. And I had time for it. It's kind of my constant mantra. I've said this before. We're not given time. We don't always have time, but we always have the ability to make time. It's just shifting stuff around. You just shift stuff. You watch one less thing on Netflix. You eat a little faster. You eat at a different time. I mean, you just shift stuff around. That's it. You don't go out one night. You'd be amazed what you do. Like, you're thinking about bringing parts in. You want to start up a business. Great. Just don't go out one night and do nothing but research. That's 6 hours that you'd be out having fun. Listen, if it turns into a thing, it's going to be well worth it. If you're enjoying what you do, it's going to be well worth it. I mean, what? So you miss some drinks, you miss some good times. I mean, I don't know. You spend more time working than you do anything else. So I'd rather have good times working, or at least something like this. I mean, listen, it's not easy. And like when I'm going through pretty much every time I do anything, there's a policy change. Now, okay, I guess I'm just going to study and get my customs broker license. Like, that doesn't discourage me. I just look at it as opportunity. And you need to find ways that kind of spark that inside of you. So I'm not going to say it's fun. I'm not looking forward to studying. I don't like tests. I don't like reading. But at the same token, I'm excited about it. Go figure. Because it's for something I love, that I believe in, that I believe will be, successful. And as long as I'm happy, that's success, because then my family's happy, kids grow up with a happy dad. It's all good, We don't need to live in a mansion. We just all need to have a good life. And that's my expectation there. So let's not go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, so that's my thing on parts. Long and short of it, just hop on Yahoo Auctions, start an account. I mean, you can get started with this in a couple hours. You might even have something won in a couple hours, but just do it. Don't worry about how you're going to market it. Don't worry about who you're going to talk to. Just yourself, Yahoo Auctions. Don't expect to make any money. If you do, congratulations. If you lose a little, big deal. It's basically your education. And that's how I look at things. And I've talked to some other people that were starting businesses, even unrelated businesses, and it's just not to focus and dwell on your losses, because you will have losses. And just look at losses as your schooling. We pay for classes. We pay for certifications. We pay for all these different things that kind of enrich our work life, gain us knowledge, schooling, whatever. We pay for all that. So if you've learned something in your business or from business by a loss, which are the valuable lessons, like I've learned some things and I will never forget them. I will never forget them way more than flashcards and anything I've learned anywhere else, because I lived through it. That's worth some money to me. If I lose $1,000, that sucks. A weekend detailing masterclass is like $2,000, from, a big name in the polishing world. Or the paint correction world. I mean, so when you start thinking of it that way, you're like, okay, so I paid to learn something there, and this loss here, I essentially paid to learn something here, and I found a better way to do it. So I think it's a good way to go about it, and I'm one that likes to focus on the headspace, because regardless of your intentions, if your headspace isn't there, if you don't have the right expectations, you're just it's not going to work. And I want to see more people doing what they talk about, not just getting excited about it, but just doing it. Because again, I don't care how many people import. I think it's good for all of us. Bring in that market share. Bring in that awareness. A lot of people have many more people that know their name than know my name. So educate them. It's good for all of us. Everyone's going to eat. Just bring it in, and the people that are in it for the wrong reasons, they will naturally get selected, filtered out, and the people that they have educated will still be here, right? So anyways, that's on the parts. So to close this out, let's take maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. Let's talk cars, right? And this is why at the beginning, and let me know, again, feedback. At the beginning of the episode, I like to kind of give an overview, right? Kind of an intro of what to expect. So listen, I understand some people are interested in the business side. Some people just want to talk like cars. We're like, hey, I want tell me more about the right-hand drive life. Okay, so car section. It's wintertime, and I was thinking in previous episodes, I did kind of that 15 to 20K range, what I think are good buys, cool cars, good stuff out there. So I want to get into just focusing on all-wheel drive cars, and coincidentally, most of the good ones out there that are coming up are going to be under that 15K range. So and that is sweet, because there's some goodies. There's some cars here that we've had in the States which aren't as sexy. Everyone wants the model that we've never had. But if you've never driven a right-hand drive car, even if it is something you've seen before, like a WRX, it's more exciting. It's new. Your drive down the street feels like you've just got your license, and not like unsafe just got your license, but just kind of that excitement, those butterflies, new perspective, perception of roads, and it's cool. And I mean, really, even if you're driving like a VIP that's a slug, it's fun. Like I love driving the Cedric, and that thing gets tons of looks, more than actually anything I've had in, more than the FD, all that stuff, and it's just fun. But so I mean, really, the same characters, the same cast here that everyone knows and loves. But we got some good ones, production times that are coming up for the all-wheel drive. So first off, so I've talked about it before. Can't reiterate enough. Love or hate the looks. The lineage is there. The Pulsar GTIR, Nissan Pulsar GTIR is really right now a good value. Last year, no, not so much. So they've come down in price, actually a good bit. So they were going for auction last year. You can actually easily last year for clean ones pay in the mid-teens. Now this is wholesale. throw another $3,000 on once you get it here, duty tax, all that stuff, import fees, auction fees. Throw another $3,000 on that, so you're like wholesale. Again, this is all wholesale. You'd be like kind of in the high teens, you know. And then some of the rougher ones, after it was all said and done, maybe, you know, the 12 to 14 range. But still, that means like that's a lot for what it was. So that bubble's burst. There's not a lot of them now. But the ones that come in, they seem to, on average, are going for about $2,000 less than they were last year, which I think is good, which I think is kind of the sweet spot, especially considering the value of the car, the the horsepower, the weight, the lineage, the gear, the driveline. So, you know, they come with SR20 DET. It's a platform, obviously, super accessible, any part you need, stateside, don't have to wait, easy, right? 227, 225, I think they're 227 for some reason that hits. But anyways, horsepower, and they're light, and I want one. I think they're just, well, for all-wheel drive, they're light. I think they're like in the mid-twos, 2,000 range, like 2,600 pounds. But yeah, I mean, for that power and the potential there, I just think right now, I think it's a great, especially the winter prices. Same thing that happens here in the States, they drop, you know, in Japan. They have winter too. So I think it's a good time to buy a Pulsar GTIR. It's a solid purchase now. It's a fun car. I don't think they're going to drop anymore. Just based statistically. And I track, I mean, I'm kind of a spreadsheet hoe. So anytime I see something and I know what the sales price was, I track it, and it's been steadily declining, you know, and I think it's kind of leveled off here. So I think it's a good time to buy one. You can get one, a really clean one, easily for, you know, under 15. Actually, you might even get one for close to 10. I'd say more like in that kind of 12, 13 range. But, you know, and that kind of brings me a quick sidebar. I get a lot of questions asking like what the price is on stuff. I get very loose estimates because it's a very loose market. These are auctions. The only time that I can say, hey, this is what this costs is like if I'm getting something from a dealer over there, which is seldom a good value because dealers will mark it up, especially when they know it's international, because they will lose some money on the back end. Most of them don't even want to deal with it. So unless it's something like you just can't find and it's very particular, a very specific car and that's at a dealer, I kind of shy from that, even though it can be done. But so even those prices, I can quote those, but they're not super accurate because they're usually inflated. And auctions, yeah, man, someone's like, hey, what's a Sylvia in like a 3.5 grade? Well, 3.5 grade means something different at each auction house. It's in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes a car there would be an R grade somewhere else will be a 3.5. So that doesn't really mean a whole lot. The only time I think you can make kind of a valid interpretation of like a car's condition is once you've looked at it, you know. So when I have it inspected and I have my guy take pictures of it in person, real time, of every damaged area, then I can say, okay, this is what this car's value should be. But before that, man, you don't know. 3 auction pictures, a cryptic report, and some history. Sometimes you can even find data in some of these databases of like previous what they've sold for, but those aren't accurate. Sometimes people don't even put in accurate numbers because they want to resell it for whatever reason. There's nothing that really holds them to that. It's very loose. So that's not accurate data. And you could be bidding against someone that just really wants that two-tone Sylvia that day for their personal collection, and they're just not going to stop until they get it. So you're going to overpay for it. So and that could drive up the cost $2,000 compared to if that person just wasn't there that day. I mean, you got to be good with that. You got to be kind of loose, set a budget that you're comfortable with, and just go for it. Just try to win, you know, because it's and that's why I give really broad ranges, because condition is going to drastically change it. Parts are going to drastically change it. And whoever's there that day is going to drastically change it. You have 3 major variables that will affect the cost of that car. between getting a steal and getting, paying retail for something at an auction. I mean, it's so, yeah. So I guess I'm just preemptively apologizing if you ask me how much something costs and I give you a range of like $4,000 to $5,000. That's an accurate range, because unless you give me super specific of what you want, maybe I can narrow it down to like a $2,000 range. But even still, depends on which way the wind blows that day. I mean, again, I think it's hard for a lot to wrap around, even for me for a while, is that you're buying a car, you're looking at cars, but it's not, you're not going from a dealership and negotiating. You're trying to win, really. Like it's a different mentality that you have to kind of rewire yourself for. Because if you're trying to get deals, you'll just not find something. If you'll keep missing things by $100 and be like, oh shit, I should have spent a little more on that. Then I would have had a car. Now I keep waiting. But Pulsar GTIR. Let's get back on track. JDM. So. So other all-wheel drive. We've mentioned this before. Evos. Old news, Dante. Evo 1's have been out for a while. No kidding. Seen a couple around the States. I get it. But Evo II production, December 1993, meaning this month. This is why I bring it up. They're available. So what were they? December 93 to February 95. Evo 2s. Mild upgrades, bigger spoiler, little bit wider wheel track. I mean, when I say little bit, like half an inch. And they increased the power. So went up to, 250 horsepower? So, which was, I don't know, like 13 horsepower, 10 horsepower. But still, refined. It's the second generation. They've had a little chance. Mitsubishi has to comb through it, maybe clean up some little some twerks. But I think that's going to be a good buy. And I'm telling you, that actually might be the buy. People sleep on them. I can't believe what they're going for. You can get one of those in for probably less than what I was saying the Pulsar, what the GTIR is going for. I think you can get them in the low teens to 10-ish, for, a nice example. You can always get things cheaper that are shit, but let's just kind of keep it on apples to apples. I think they're a good buy. I think they're a really good buy. It's a lot of power for the money. I mean, it's probably going to be a quicker car because they're around the same curb weight, a little bit heavier, smidge, 50 to 100 pounds, depending on, what version you get. The GSR, the RS models obviously are stripped down. They're a little bit lighter. They're kind of sweet. But, I think that's a good value. The bodywork, looks a little bit better. It's still not Evo 3 bodywork. Evo 3 is going to be the one. I think those are going to be the ones that everyone's going to pine for. We have to wait till, February 95. So we're like, little over a year away from those. And I think those are going to blow up. And I think because of that, the Evo 2s are great value. And I think if you keep looking, even wintertime, you might be able to get one for surprisingly cheap. You might be able to get one here for under 10. I just think, So my second, and this would probably be my number one choice, JDM all-wheel drive winter goodie would be the Evo 2 because production numbers, you can start looking at them now. Since I think they launched them in January 94, production December 93, and then they're done February 95. So, and then of course, oldie but goodie, WRX. So we didn't have this car. What's that you say? Dante, we've always had WRXs. Not in the early 90s, we didn't. We had Imprezas, and that's it. We had that 160 horsepower flat four rally-inspired bodywork, far from rally-inspired performance, although I still like them. The GC 8 and Subaru, they changed their codes. It's like different every year. So like the early 90s was like GC8A, GC8B, GC8C, and so on. And basically it's a every year variant. So 92, 93 model was the A, 93 to 94 was the B, 94 to 96 was the C, and so forth. D would just keep going up the scale. And they made, minor changes to each year. The nice thing is we got so we didn't have that car. So it's going to be a body style you're familiar with, but definitely not the performance. So the normal JDM, WRX, again, all of these, like the Lancer, the Pulsar, they all competed back in the day. So we're like 236 horsepower for the WRX model. Now, keep in mind, and this is the one that I think is going to bring in some big money. This is going to bring big money in a couple months, because they started making the STI in February of 94. So didn't have much more horsepower, had like 10 more horsepower than the WRX. But I mean, these are all the goodies that people are buying and converting on their GCs here, their GC8s. So I think that's going to be a really sick car. I think it's going to go for probably more money than Paul. It'll probably go for like, I see the STIs going for like clean GTST, like R32 GTST money. Definitely not GTR money, which, by the way, GTRs are continuing to grow. Since I've been tracking them, they, like in the last 5 years, I don't think they've had a flat quarter. They just continue to grow. So listen, all-wheel drive investment car, yes, as always, get a GTR. I don't care. Oh, it's ridiculous, the prices, they're like high 20s. Yeah, and they're just going to keep going up. I mean, especially with R33s coming out and not as many people being into them, more and more people buying R32s, less and less clean examples being available. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going up. I mean, obviously it will stop someday. They're not going to be $1 million, but if you're waiting for them to come down and you want one like in the next 2 or 3 years, it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But so I think we're looking at the WRX. So that's actually been available. So the previous two, the Evo II, that's one that's going to be recently available to us. The Pulsar has in the past. The WRX started in November of 92. The GC8A was 92 to 93. And the one that, we're getting ramped up here is the GC8B, which is the 93 to 94, which is when we got the STI. So this is going to be our first little introduction to the STI. And they also had a version, an RA version, which is very limited if we can find one. If I can find one, I'm getting one, because that's when they did the center differential control. 271 horsepower on a car that's like, again, like 2,700 pounds. I mean, that's going to be a fun car. So, yeah, I mean, listen, nothing whoa. And the other thing, so those three, yeah, Dante, heard about them, nothing new. I'm not trying to tell you about anything new. I'm just saying this is what the market's like right now on the cars. And I think these are some good buys. And on top of that, we have the Celica. So the ST205. This will be the first year for this body style for us to import. February 94. So we're a couple months away. Start looking at them now. 3S GTE motor, 252 horsepower, all-wheel drive, rally car. Again, good lineage, heavier. They're closer to 3,000 pounds. They're not going to be like the straight-up performers. A little more stable, though, but not the same performers as like the Evo, the Pulsar, and the WRX. Just in weight-to-power ratio. But aesthetically, I think they're gorgeous, with the quad headlights, the proven power plant. The 3S GTE, tons of aftermarket support stateside here. And decently high for the GT4 model, a pretty high production run. So I don't think we're going to have much issue with these. And I think these will be, like right now, they're super cheap. Well, they're starting to get more expensive, but as soon as they're legal, everything's going to bump up. Like right now, you can get one in here for under 10 pretty easily. I think they'll probably go a little bit over that. Probably be in that like 10 to 14 range. But I think they're a good buy. Again, nice winter car. Some good heritage there. A lot of famous drivers were in this chassis, the Group A back in the day. And from what I've heard, I'm not super familiar with the gearbox, but pretty stout, and just the driveline in general. So, and this is something that, again, we never had. So we had this body style, but we never had all-wheel drive stateside here. Or no? Actually, hold on. I don't think we did. I think ours was just front wheel. I'm not like a huge Celica head other than the rally ones, which were these, the JDM ones. But I know we didn't have one with 3S GTE. That's a fact. We never got that turbo motor in our Celicas here. So I think this is another good one. So there you have it. The Celica GT4, the ST205 GT4. So February 94 is when that one kicks off. We got the Evo RS. Production numbers just started this month for the Evo II. Pulsar available as always, and then the WRX available to import. And in another couple months, we will start seeing STI versions, which is where you want to be. If you've done any research on the Subaru forums and Subaru heads, they have paid major money to do conversions stateside here to left-hand drive cars, full drive line, center lock, all that stuff. Major money. So to get a power plant built, ready to roll, right-hand drive, I think those are going to be some winners there. I think that's a car you buy, you drive for years, you don't lose money on, for sure. And the other ones I think are good values. I think the Evo II is going to be a good value. The Pulsar is going to be a good value. Maybe not necessarily investment type of stuff, especially with the Evo III coming out. But you're not going to lose your ass on them. And I think the money to power to weight ratio is nice. So that's it. Let's wrap this one up. I got to go to the dentist appointment, which I'm going to be late for. But hey, I said this was on my list. I am getting episode 3 recorded today, and that's it. So as always, I appreciate the time, appreciate the support. Reach out, any questions, any comments, good, bad, indifferent, love, hate, whatever. Let's keep the talk going. I'm going to get back on track. I promise you, I will get more of these podcasts out. It's not going to be once a month. I want to get back to my 2 a month, at least, at minimum. So as always, reach out to me, Elusive Auto Co. On all social media. So it's ELUSIVE Auto Co. And hey, help me out, man. Elusive Autoshine on social media as well. So that's the detailing branch of this. Show me some love. I post up some stuff if you want to, see some more kind of tips, tricks, just kind of outcomes and stuff like that for detailing. Maybe to take your protection and rejuvenation to the next level. Like, check it out. I appreciate it. It's I have like 0 following right now, so hook it up. And an email, dante@elusiveautoco.com. Again, questions about business, questions about importing stuff, bounce an idea off me, spitball, whatever. It's all good. I look forward to hearing from you out there. As always, enjoy the drive. See you next time. Peace.